In this video, I'll attempt to relay why Black Myth Wukong is a masterpiece. So sit back, grab a snack, and join me on this great journey into the myth of madness that is Black Myth Wukong. Just a quick recap on the Wukong story for those unfamiliar with it. Sun Wukong was the Monkey King and central figure in the 16th century Chinese novel known as Journey to the West. His essence was formed from a rock through divine providence, some say, after the rock from which he was born was meditated on by a bodhisattva whose divine energy later imbued the rock with an egg, which later gave life to Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong was able to speak and walk from the start and joined a wandering group of what seemed to be macaque monkeys that share his likeness and in turn became referred to as his kind. He later becomes their king after engaging in and successfully completing a test of bravery. That being, jumping into and discovering the source of a waterfall, thus earning the respect of the other monkeys as well as the title. Throughout the story, Wukong is depicted as mischievous and short-tempered and can come off as a little narcissistic.
All these years, except for that pig, you're the one who talks the tallest tales. Good, I am entertained. Speaking of entertainment, wouldn't it be fun if I pluck your extra eye out for my snack and allow you to keep the other two? Because I'd hate to let you miss how I'll slaughter each mongrel of the court. Those below, those above, and that black mutt of yours. Come at me, all of you!
Once he altered the Book of Life and Death after discovering his name in said book, erasing his as well as the names of his fellow monkey kin. Hence finally getting the attention of the Jade Emperor, giving himself the title Great Sage equal to heaven, even going as far as mocking the Jade Emperor, who angrily dispatches forces to deal with Wukong. But Wukong would prove to be too formidable. Realizing this, he desperately appeals to the Buddha for intervention and help in dealing with this issue. Buddha gladly obliges, trapping our favorite monkey beneath a stone mountain, forcing him to reflect for 500 years on his actions. One day, a traveling monk named Tang Sang Zhang crosses paths with Wukong and offers him freedom in exchange for servitude on a greater path. Fast forward and Wukong has achieved enlightenment amongst other impressive feats, one being storming heaven, that's right, heaven, and no longer is interested in going on with his newfound divine way of life. Content with retiring to his mountain and living out his days amongst his monkey kin, free of all the binding restrictions that entail this newfound lifestyle. The Jade Emperor, as well as the Celestial Court, have other plans though, and so begins our story. Arlong Shen, being somewhat of an enforcer as well as the face of the heavenly army, has no choice but to engage with Wukong, even if reluctant to do so. Wukong by this point is so powerful, there's not even a gauge representing your health, furthermore emphasized by the presence of a good number of heavenly and divine soldiers and beings. The moment you start the game up, you're greeted with one of my favorite ways of doing startup screens, tossing you straight into the action, heightening immersion as far as I'm concerned. One of my favorite games, God of War, does this beautifully, and I'm always excited when seeing this sort of first time startup screen. From the jaw-dropping setting high above the clouds to breathtaking graphics or amazing attention to detail, you know you're in for a ride. Facing off against such a strong opponent this early on sets the precedence for a lot of challenges yet to come, and foreshadows it wonderfully. Not only that, but it helps present the narrative and running theme of the game, perseverance, as well as an underlying tone of teamwork and how it can be used to overcome obstacles. The story feels rich and original enough to still feel fresh even to those already familiar with the world.
He's a monkey of merit. A monkey was made Buddha once. None other than me can challenge him to a duel.
It is conveyed through the world around you, text, in your journal, NPCs and enemies alike, and of course cutscenes, which is where game science demonstrates an adept understanding of their craft. They're so beautifully done and introduced in a way where I sometimes forget I'm playing a game.
The scriptures sound. All I ever wanted was a life in my mountain, free from you and your so-called merits.
It can't be. Wukong's gold sword armor. That monkey was full of surprises, just like me.
It's fed to you in such a way that gives you what you need but keeps you wanting to know more. Then finally pays off in the form of these wonderfully rendered, ink-washed painting art style cutscenes, which serve to inform you of the past while you forge onward towards what seems to be an all too familiar path. A story of deception, love, and betrayal. It can really grasp you, and without going into spoiler, is definitely worth experiencing in its entirety. As every encounter can be quite challenging, the feeling of overcoming them can be met with a fulfilling sense of accomplishment, be the victory through wit, skill, or sheer strength. You'll be happy it's done, but we'll be ready for more. You are placed in some pretty interesting and beautiful environments with a variety of lesser enemies and potential for side objectives which aid in your quest. You are granted a number of transformations upon defeating enemies, which can in turn be used in battles to gain the upper hand, granting play over a lore-accurate Wukong. The movements are precise and solid, and feel good to execute. While you will encounter some tough challenges, nothing is impossible, and that essence of perseverance and growth seemingly shine through after every victory. The skill advancement menu is quite extensive and full of variety, yet not overwhelming. There are traces or elements from other games integrated that just seem to work well with this title. Be it the ability to refund all skill points without cost, to endlessly test different builds without too tedious of a grind, or simply respawning at a shrine you've come across on your journey ready to jump back into the action. It has a lot of quality of life features that aid in not making Black Myth Wukong feel like a chore. You gradually feel yourself get stronger and you, yourself, smarter as you learn every enemy's attack pattern and when to dodge, and thanks to solid controls, one can master this wonderful dance in no time. While fairly linear in its presentation, it's still a breath of fresh air for semi-open world titles such as this one, and I'm all for it. The side objectives normally have good rewards that can be used to make your life easier in some encounters, but aren't mandatory and can be missed without repercussion. The boss battles can range from trivial to extremely challenging, but this is where the game shines. Most encounters can be tackled any number of ways with approach to combat. You can start with smash stance for an up close and personal playstyle, or stick with thrust stance for a more distant playstyle. You can use items and transformations in combat, mixing and matching strategies to effectively dispatch even the toughest of foes, adding a level of depth to combat that feels good and rewarding. For example, slight spoiler warning just in case, the Yellow Wind Sage is a required boss in order to progress past Chapter 2. There is an item that can be acquired through doing the Drunken Boar side quest in that area that would help make that fight leagues easier. But if you welcome the challenge, then it's not needed. This is just one of many ways the game lets you feel somewhat in control in an ultimately beautiful linear experience. From gorgeous vistas atop the highest mountain peak, to harsh desert lands, to snowy fields, to lush jungles, Black Myth: Wukong features some diverse and breathtaking environments, each offering a unique challenge and adventure for players to explore. The game's stunning visuals and fluid combat make every moment feel impactful. Black Myth: Wukong is rich in narrative that will hook you from start to finish. The progression system, coupled with the thrill of discovery and overcoming tough obstacles, should be a joy to experience. Ultimately, this game will not only entertain but captivate players with its depth, beauty, and heart-pounding action. If you haven't played it yet, then what are you waiting for?